And a great good evening to all of you joining us here on the Marcia Week Show. Today, Monday, January the 20th, 2025. We're 20 days into the new year already. And time is just going by so very, very quickly. But we want to welcome you this evening to this show. We are so grateful for you taking the time to join us tonight, as many of you do every time we come online. We are deeply appreciative of you taking the time to join us. And we thank you, for without you, the show could not possibly be as successful as it has been. We thank you for your kind and generous remarks concerning those of us who have done, as some of you have indicated, a great job in the absence of Marcia and Dave. And I want to commend the young people led by Shaquani and also Glyne and Maxine on Sundays. They've done a tremendous job, and I tell you, it's great to have a team. And I've often said there is no I in team. TEAM. It's a group of people that work together for the success of something. And I'm honored and privileged to be a part of this great team that has come together to talk truth and to address some of the challenges that people of our country are having in the absence of a significant presence of the opposition in the House of Assembly. Of course, it would be remiss of me if I did not indicate and did not say that even with just one person in Parliament, the opposition is certainly keeping the government's feet to the fire, and they're doing a great job. And I want to commend Mr. Ralph Thorne for the tremendous job he's doing and for the sincerity and genuineness that he indicates as he does that job. We may all have our own views and perspectives on different persons, and I believe that there's a significant genuineness about Mr. Thorne, and we are hearing some voices being uttered that have been absent, the voice for the people, because certainly it does not appear that the government is speaking on the behalf of the people about anything. And so this evening, we are grateful to have all of you joining us as we begin the show. As you know, I normally wait till we clear the 200 mark to go to the national anthem. So I'll take the opportunity to welcome you, Cedric Strawn and Junie Rock. Good night to you as well. Thank you for your kind remarks. And thank you also for reminding me sometimes of the things I often forget, because there's just so much that we have happening. So I'm deeply appreciative of you reminding me about my ticker. And thank you for doing that. Marcia, good evening to you as well. Thank you so much. Great to have all of you loyal opposition sons and daughters, the CARICOM opposition, the CARICOM opposition. It really does seem as though we do have to have a CARICOM opposition indeed. And so we hope that we will be able to fulfill the task and the job that you're given to us and that you're expecting of us throughout the time that we share together here on this show. Want to say hello as well to Monica, excuse me, Monica Ince, Tyrone Blackman. Good evening to you, and Mac Boland. Great to have you with us again tonight. Good night to you as well, Jacqueline Aline. Pleasure to have you with us. And of course, I'm always very pleased to have you, Sir Alfred Benjamin, with us each night, locked on from Brooklyn, New York. And a pleasure to have you with us again this evening. Owen Hines and Beverly Prescott, good evening to you as well. Welcome to the show. We're happy to have you. Just remember to share, 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 as Marcia would put it. Pleasure to be here with you tonight. Good evening to you as well, Cami. Great to see you as well, and trust that we will have a great, great night tonight in the show that we have for you. Of course, today has been a significant day in more ways than one. Today is January the 20th. It is the inauguration of the President of the United States, Mr. Donald Trump. I watched quite a bit of that this afternoon, had a chance to look at that, to watch it online, and the installing of a new administration, new government in the United States of America. For whatever you may care about them, think about him or whatever, That's your personal view and opinion, as is mine, but we are thankful for the transition of leadership there. And we trust that things will settle down now. The elections are all over and the installation is finished. And then the government will get about doing its business. Of course, the same lies here in the country, where we are expecting as well for the government to continue to do its job. They are our employees. We are the board of directors. That is who the people of Barbados are. And I continue to see decisions being made. And in many instances, the people of Barbados are not even aware until the decision has been made. Nobody comes to us and says, well, look, we're interested, or we're looking at doing this or doing that. Listen, let me be clear. Government, understand this. You are not in charge. The people are. They elected you and put you in office. That makes them your boss. So get out your thick skull and understand that in 2025, this generation of people are not going to operate like the generation of people that operated many years ago. It just simply is not going to happen. We're going to be holding your feet to the fire, and we're going to be expecting you to do a proper job. And if you don't, you're going to get fired. It's as simple as that. But nevertheless, my understanding from taking a look at the numbers is that we're up over 229 at the moment. And so I'm going to go because I know that Marcia is going to be reminding me to get that national anthem played. So I'm going to go straight to the national anthem of Barbados. Immediately following that, we will have our national pledge. And I trust that you will join me within the context of both of them. So, ladies and gentlemen, the national anthem of the Republic of Barbados. Amen, amen, amen. The national anthem of the Republic of Barbados. Now, I don't know what is going to be in store for tonight, really. You know, we planned the show, but you just never know what's going to happen in these sessions. And we look forward to a great, great show tonight. I am also mindful of the fact that recently I saw an article in one of the media houses, not necessarily here in Barbados, to do with a change in the coat of arms of Trinidad and Tobago. And I am just wondering if we are going to be shocked and surprised by the government as well for a change in the national anthem, a change in the flag, and a change in the coat of arms and anything else, because it would appear to me that we are not important because decisions are being made without consultation and without any information being given. And there are areas that we're going to delve into tonight that are of concern to so many. We have the issue with the Barbados Water Authority informing us of dye being placed in the water. We'll come back to that, God willing, in a few moments. We have matters to do with properties around the country that are being disposed of in the name of progress. There are concerns which have been expressed, thankfully, in Parliament by the leader of the opposition, but some that we will express tonight as well. And in addition to that, we have our Prime Minister, who is now lead chair of the CARICOM, indicating certain aspects to do with crime that ought to be of concern to all of us when we hear the rhetoric. Now, you know, I have learned over the years as a sales and marketing individual, which is my background, to listen carefully when people speak, because it is in that context that you know how to market or how to present whatever it is that you're going to be giving or selling or presenting to the individuals. But before I even go into that, I want to draw your attention to a couple of lines in the national anthem. And I want to remind the government of the national anthem. Of course, that is if it's still going to be our national anthem, because I take the words in this national anthem very seriously. And so just before I do that, let me not forget to to share the national pledge with you. And so together, let us repeat it. I pledge allegiance to my country, Barbados, and to my flag, to uphold and defend their honor, and by my living to do credit to my nation wherever I go. That is my national pledge. That is my national commitment. I will uphold and defend their honor, and I will do credit to my nation wherever I go. Not credit to myself, credit to my nation wherever I go. As we face these upcoming days in the year of 2025, this year has started with a number of challenges for us as people in this country. Of course, we have had a significant uptick in just a few days at the beginning of the year of major criminal activity, major deaths, major murders that are baffling everyone and challenging the authorities. And I'll touch a little bit on that as we go through the night. And then, of course, we have the issues of land disposal, I call it. I travel around Barbados, and I thought that as a government, we would have learned from the pandemic the critical importance of providing our own agricultural source here in our country, when one considers what happened during the pandemic and continues to happen from time to time with issues to do with shipping lanes and wars in different parts of the world that have nothing to do with us but have a direct impact on our transportation processes as it relates to goods and services. And so, you know, tonight I want to pay attention to a couple of things. And if I sound a little bit like I'm rambling, there's just so much that we have to engage. The national anthem says this: ye loyal sons and daughters all do hereby make it known. These fields and hills beyond recall, listen to it, are now our very own. That line is now being challenged when one considers how our country is being sold out under the guise of investment. Today, as I sit here in front of you, we know of plans to dispose of the entire Bay Street area, the entire thing, all the way through to Bridgetown. We know of plans to dispose of all of Bay Street under the name of re-energizing and revitalizing the economy and investment and all this kind of stuff. Pardon me, you know, I'm not an economist. I am a business-minded thinking person, so I don't talk a lot of political rhetoric. All right. And then, of course, we are hearing about sale of properties all the way down the West Coast. We are hearing of the removal of the library, the police station, and can't remember the other property there in Whole Town under the name of advancing investment and improving infrastructure and all these different kinds of things. You know, I get it. I get it that, you know, we have to do something to pay that 8.7 billion US dollar debt that this country has. And I understand that, you know, as a government, you have to try to find every which way you can to be able to pay those bills, because you certainly have taxed the people out of existence. You know, our income taxes are high. Our indirect taxation is high. The VAT that you opposed is still at 17.5%. It is a significant income, I am told, from the, and let me make sure I remember this, from the sewage tax, I believe it is, that it's either the sewage tax or the fuel, the tax at the fuel pump, some 80 million, I think is the sewage tax, $80 million a month, something in that ballpark. And I must tell you, you know, when I stop and I think of the kind of revenues we are generating through taxation compared to actually earning money as a country, it is frightening. Again, I remind you of a saying that Reverend Dr. Holmes Williams had, my former senior minister at the cathedral. He said to me and said to us as a church one time in a message he was preaching, when your outgo exceeds your income, your upkeep becomes your downfall. And I've shared that with you many times here on this show, because as a country, I believe we have to rein in this madness of borrowing. This is just simply digging a hole exceptionally deep for this country to try and get out of, long after this current government has gone into oblivion. My grandchildren and great grandchildren and great great grandchildren are going to be left saddled with this burden. And this cannot be something that we can feel pleased about. It is almost as if there's no vision and no plan for the future of this country. And this is what we are asking of the government. Let the people know. Don't talk to me about no manifesto. Don't talk to me about that. Okay, I don't want to hear anything about any manifesto. Manifestos are promises that are made to get people elected, but more often than not, we don't see a lot of the things in the manifesto ever accomplished. And that is a fact. That is not a misinformation or conspiracy theory, because we are still not seeing even 1,000 houses built in this country in any single year. We are still having to grapple with misappropriation of funds within the context of monies being directed but not being accounted for, and not being able to see the results of the kind of fund of finances that have been directed to particular projects. And it is now 2025. We are not going to be doing politics now as we used to do politics in the past. People travel around the world, and I'm going to try to be very diplomatic. People travel around the world representing this country. And I look around this country as I travel to see what has happened here as a result of your travel. Now, you may point to me and tell me, okay, well, what about flights coming in? Some African flights are coming in, and some flights out of the Middle East are coming here. You know, you're getting some attention from that part of the world. I am yet to see such a significant contribution to the economy of Barbados, and the economists can bear this out with me if they wish, or correct me if I'm wrong. But I'm yet to see it that it will assist in reducing the cost of living to Barbadians. Let me tell you something. I frankly don't care what you think about Mr. Trump or Mr. Biden or Ms. Harris. I couldn't care less. But here's a fact of life. I don't care what the Democrats have done in the United States of America. They lost the election. Trump did not win it. And they lost the election because they were not paying attention to the people at the ground level, what was happening to them. Like Barbados, gas prices through the roof. Like Barbados, supermarket prices through the roof. Like Barbados, cost of living through the roof. Taxation through the roof. Like Barbados. And I have said here more than once that it was not the 1/10 of the iceberg above the sea that the captain of the Titanic saw that sunk his ship. What sunk his ship was the 9/10 he did not see. And I have already warned this government, don't pay attention to the people who suck up onto you and don't tell you the truth. I learned today that there are certain cabinet members, and I hope I don't put them on the spot or put them in trouble. There are certain cabinet members who know the truth and who know what we are saying is true, but they are afraid to say anything because there is going to be a cost attached if you do. You see, here we are not afraid to speak the truth. We are going to speak the truth. And if the truth hurts, well, let it hurt. If the truth offends, well, let it offend. But whatever you do, pay attention to the truth. And the truth of the matter is, Madam Prime Minister, Barbados Labour Party government, the people of Barbados are suffering. They are suffering under a load of high cost of living. They're suffering under the burden of increased prices in supermarkets all over this country. They're suffering at the increased cost of gasoline and diesel and natural gas and bottled gas, while there has been a decline in the international market price of oil. It has not been reflected here in this country. Please, government, please, Madam Prime Minister, pay attention to the people of this country. Stop flying all over the place. Stay in this country. Talk not with your lackeys. Get out there on the street and talk with people. Everywhere I turn in this country, people are dissatisfied with your administration. Everywhere I turn. Of all walks of life, at every level, they are dissatisfied. And I'm warning you, ma'am. Whenever you call election, if you do not pay attention, not to the big investors that are investing in the West Coast and in St. Joseph and Scotland District and those places, pay attention to the people who elected you to office, not to your lackeys in the party who are not prepared to tell you the truth. This country is going through severe hardship because of internationally imposed conditions, because of what you have borrowed. And we're asking you, ma'am, please stop in Barbados long enough to get out of your Mercedes or whatever it is you drive. I would prefer BMW, but anyhow, your Mercedes and to walk the streets of this country, go into the supermarket and talk with the people. And you will hear a very different story to what those around you are saying. Well, I'm going to stop there for tonight. There's just so much more I have to share. So much more. But hopefully as we go through the night, we will be able to touch on a number of subjects from the water all the way back through. We are going to try our best to engage as many subjects as we possibly can. But let me at this time welcome my first guest to the Marcy Week Show, my good friend, Mr. Victor Lewis. I'm going to bring you in, Mr. Lewis. Good evening, sir. Good evening, sir. Good evening. Pleasure to have you with us on the Marcy Week Show this evening. I know you have quite a bit to share, so I'm going to get out of the way quickly and give you the opportunity, sir, to go right ahead and share with us what is on your heart. I know we talked about an update concerning the conditions, the situations where Joel River were concerned.
Correct.
Yes.
So are you hearing me well?
Yes, we're hearing you well.
Beautiful,
Absolutely
beautiful,
hearing you well.
Beautiful.
And we look forward to you giving us a bit of an update and not only giving us an update, but expressing how you feel relative to what is happening in the country, that those areas could even probably be a reflection of some of
Mhm.
the things that are beginning to concern many Barbadians. So, Victor, welcome to the Marcia Week show this evening.
Well, thanks a lot, sir, and good evening to the loyal opposition. And certainly, at this time, let me best wish everyone a wonderful new year. You know, I was listening very attentively, Dr. Ferdinand, in your presentation. And I want to say, I pledge allegiance to my country, Barbados, to uphold and defend its honor, and
Yes,
by
sir.
my living, to do credit to my nation wherever I go. And that includes Joseph. So I want for you, Brother Ferdinand, if you can pull those two videos up for us. And I would want to say to the audience, you know, don't look for the audio. Just pay attention to the video. And what we are seeing there in the still, that is some tape that is pulled from the Joseph Bridge right across the front. And that tape is intended to prevent us from traveling. If you can just take the video back, to the area there where the blocks are, if you can do that. That tip is intended to block us out from taking that route down to Joseph Bridge. And it is rather unfortunate. I'll play that part of the video. I'll go back to the first video. Right. So that one, if you can hold it right there, that part, right there. That is the area where we walk through. That is to the left side of the bridge. If you're traveling from Bathsheba to Catawash, that's the left side. That's the area you go down. That's the shorter side. On the right side is steeper, it's longer, and the probability of falling is quite easy. But this one is relatively short. So I wanted to yesterday to take that route, and I was prevented from doing so because of that tape. Along with the tape, they've erected some steels in the area of the blocks, put the tape on it to prevent anyone from going to the Joseph Gully via that route. And that is what we are addressing with respect to this bridge, the Joseph Bridge.
Now, let me ask you a quick question, Victor. That picture we're looking at right now, where you see the
Mhm.
blocks and the tape, like a dark hole, is that the area where you could enter down into the gully that you were talking about?
Right, right. You're going down that hill there where the tape is, and you're
Yes.
going right into the gully from there. That's the shorter side.
Now,
Now we know we come up,
how
yeah,
often is that area used? Let's say over the past 5 years, 10 years. Is that an area that people go through on a regular basis? How often is it used?
every single day, every
Every
single day.
day.
You know,
Wow.
we go to the gully. Sometimes I travel the exercising with my dogs. The dogs will just go down to that hill, go and get a bath, and then they come
Mhm.
on back out. We go catching crayfish, you eat grapes, and then you go there picking grapes. You go hiking. You know, any person don't want to risk the right side of the bridge, you'll go on the left. You know, if you're not too agile, this is the route that you will take. And yesterday, I attempted to go down there. You know, if you could continue to play the video. And this is what confronted me. So I want to say to the people of Barbados that the area there by the bridge that we have addressed with a view of having 24/7 free and full access at this stage in 2025, we're still having issues. So if you can take the video up, go back to the beginning of the video and just stall it. Right. So if you can stall, I'm saying that for everyone looking, you can see an individual at the top. I don't know who the person is. I don't know. But if you can go to the second video, and this is 2025. 2025. This is the gentleman yesterday who had a conversation with me. And you know, just look at the body language, how beautiful it is. You know, and he's going in and taking out a phone. And this is what we are confronted with in 2025 in this our country, Barbados.
And this gentleman, who is this gentleman? Is he the owner of the property or something like that?
Well, that's a beautiful question, but I can say it to you. I can say to you that you saw him in the first video on the top.
Right.
So I drove in there with a view of, you know, going down in the gully and just doing my normal relaxation as the case may be. But I saw the tape there. My attempt was to move it. You know, but I was told, you know, I can't move it. So this gentleman in question was saying that, you know, I don't have the right to be going through that particular area as the case may be. But, you know, on that matter, I came home yesterday. I came home and I called Chris, you know, Christopher Oliver. He is the second complainant in this matter. And I explained to him what transpired. And he said to me, Victor, you know, I was told that steels are erected in the blocks and he has the tape across and he has no right to do that.
Now, you know what?
Hold on a bit.
Yeah,
Hold
go
on a
ahead.
bit.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you know, and then I decided then I will call our counsel, our legal representative. I gave him a call yesterday. He returned the call today, and he advised me that he will be writing the court on this matter because what he observed in the video, we cannot be restricted, or they cannot be restricted from passage to the gully via that route. In addition to that, he also said that the area there must be made accommodating to all of us, and it must be brought back to its former state. So there's some support from our counsel on the matter, and he will be taking further steps on this matter in court.
Well, you know,
But
as I
that is
hear
where
you,
we are. Yes, sir.
but as I hear you speak, you know, because I believe that it used to be the town planning department. I haven't got used to the new name they have given it at the
Planning
moment.
and development. Planning
Planning
and
and
development.
development.
Yes,
Let
sir.
me write that down so I
Yes,
don't
planning
forget
and
it.
development. And the
Planning and
head
development.
of planning and development is
Right.
the Prime Minister of Barbados, our
Right.
Prime Minister, Mayor Amor Mortley.
And also in charge of the
You know.
and
So,
also in charge of the Barbados Water Authority, but we'll get to
yes,
that.
you know, and I just can't understand. I said, look, and I will be 68 next month. I was reading on Arabara today. He died at 67. You know, God has promised us 70. So I'm hopefully I will get 2 more. But I have grandchildren there who will be coming. Are they going to be subjected to this kind of behavior? Where are we going as a country? What is the vision for this country, Barbados, when in 2025 we could be subjected to this? But I have a lot more to say.
You
I have
know,
a lot more to say.
I made 2 points here, but so let me deal with the first one.
Yes, sir.
In doing any development in the country, in doing any construction, regardless of even if it is renovations or whatever, um, my understanding is you have to submit plans to the town planning, to the planning and development department for them to approve. And of
Mhm.
course, they would require certain things to be done, certain aspects to be addressed, and certain things to be removed or implemented or whatever they do. Um, do you have any idea what the town planning and development department would have indicated to the gentleman concerning the development of this property?
That's a wonderful question. But during the whole exercise, I
Mhm.
know that it was proposed for a barrier to be placed across the train path so that no vehicular traffic can travel via that route. I enjoyed it as a boy. I enjoyed it as a man. My father, my great-great-grand, all the others back enjoyed it. And we are reaching a stage now where we are seeing that instead of having this free accessibility to these areas that we have enjoyed over the years, we're having an individual now coming into our country in 2025 and attempting to restrict access. We cannot afford a path like this. And not only that, because they want to get to some other activity that's going on.
Well, before you
In
go
the
to that, I want to say, one of the things that and as I said, I listened to the inauguration and the Mr. Trump's speech today, and one of the things that he mentioned or spoke about was a two-tier justice system, where it would appear that there's one set of justice for one set of people, but a different set of justice for another set of people. And as a result of that, I've always learned that Madam Justice has on a blindfold, and she doesn't see color, class, creed, nothing. She is blindfolded. She's blinded to those things. But it is clear to all of us in Barbados that we have a similar issue here, have had it for years. And, I'm wondering, not that you would need to engage this aspect, because I'll talk with this, we can talk this another time, but I'm wondering when the time will come when we will have somebody in government who has the intestinal fortitude, because I saw a comment made earlier in the chat where the Public Accounts Committee, for the Public Accounts Committee not to meet and engage the processes that are required for the accountability of finances in Barbados's government is a criminal act. Now, I cannot speak to that with any authority because I don't know. But if that is so, then it would mean that there should be some retribution for persons even after they have left office. I see here Mr. Newton is saying that the Public Accounts Committee preventing them from doing its work is a criminal offense in similar vein as murder. We are demanding punishment for the perpetrators. Why end the government? So it would appear that there are two different standards. I know people, Victor, who have had plans in the planning and development department for months. I spoke to one directly 2 days ago that had plans in for a home in February of last year. I haven't got a response as yet. But yet these developers, these different people can come into the country and in a couple of weeks have permission to do their developments and to engage whatever it is that they want to engage without any reservations, apparently.
Dr. Ferdinand, you only have to come on Barbados' steps with some fine linen. As long as your linen is fine, you will be shown the best. The best what? Laundromat. The best laundromat will be given to you as long as you step on these shores with fine linen. It is so disappointing to realize that our navel string, the navel string of this country, Barbados, now has a price tag on it. And I want to speak to Bathsheba, Teacup and Saucer, Joseph Gully. Attracted the price tag. Play the video there with me, with the one at the bottom of Cleaverson, and join your presentation when we were playing the national anthem.
Would it be this is the one you're speaking about here?
Yes. Just bring the video back a bit. Bring the video back to the seat. Bring it back to the seat. You would have to kind of restart it. So the seat there on the right, really, that is Soup Bowl. Soup Bowl in Bathsheba. I mean, that's a prominent place in the area called Bathsheba. Just bring the video around. So that's Super Bowl. That is where everybody go and surf, right? To the left, you have what we call the solar pools. Best bring the video around. Bring the video around some more. So to the left, when you go down that area, down there, the solar pools. Bring the camera around a bit. Come around. Hold it right there. That white building there was once the old Powell Spring Hotel. I don't know who had fine linen, but they step into this country. And I don't have no difficulty with the purchase. Fine. Purchase, develop, enjoy. But this is Super Bowl, a very prominent place in Bathsheba. And I don't know, where the representative is. I don't know where he was after what transpired in the area of Joseph. I don't know where he is now. When I see what is transpiring here, right at the point there where you can see those the little steel bars, for the gathering. That is where the Bathsheba bus comes down. It faces, and the Bathsheba bus reverse in that area there. That area there where you see the gutter. Over there to the left, where you can see those posts. That is an area that was once used by surfers when they come to Super Bowl in Bathsheba. But some person, again with fine linen, comes to this country, and again, they are allowed to come and put up fencing around that area. Look at all those posts. And that is an area that was utilized by surfers in this Super Bowl area, and this is what we are subjected to. So when this area now is taken out, I am saying that yes, you purchase the area, you have the right for the use of your land. But my question to the representative of St. Joseph, my question to our Prime Minister, Mayor Amor Mortley, what is the vision for St. Joseph? What is the vision when we can allow things like this to happen? So you're removing this entire area as area of parking space that was once used, and now you're forcing the area of Super Bowl into less parking area, making it far more congested than it previously was. So unfortunate. Where are we going as a country? Are we getting better?
Well, it would appear, when one takes a look at the country, Victor, when I certainly take a look at the country, I struggle to find out what is the vision of the government for Barbados. And I'm not talking about the vision of the government for Barbados as it relates to the World Economic Forum, the World Health Organization, the United Nations, or the IMF. I am talking about a vision for Barbados as it relates to the people of Barbados.
Precisely.
You see, because what you're saying here, what it suggests to me is that if that is the case, I would be left to conclude that if there is any events or anything down there based on what you are suggesting to us, that it is going to be a catastrophic event to try to engage parking and moving of vehicles and that type of thing. I mean, I haven't been there, Victor, I must tell you, for donkey years. And I am going to come to St. Joseph. If I can get there tomorrow, I am going to come to St. Joseph.
You must come down. Let me give you a
down.
tour.
I have not been down for a long, long time.
I can sit down and see these things happening. I know very well that when something of this nature happens in St. Joseph, in actual fact, this is a very regressive step for Super Bowl.
But what is
individuals who would want to go and use the beach otherwise?
But let me ask you this, Victor. I mean, I hear you, and what's your colleague's name again?
Chris Oliver.
And Chris. I hear you and Chris taking up this matter, but what about the other residents? How do the other residents feel about the matter, Victor? Because, I'm told that there is a lot of strength in numbers. I'm told there's a lot of strength in numbers. What is the feeling of the people within the area, and for that matter, in St. Joseph? Because I would believe, well, I can't even say St. Joseph alone. I would have to say Barbados, because there are people who would travel from St. Philip, Christchurch, St. Michael, St. George, St. Peter, St. Thomas, down to Soup Bowl, down into the river area. I know of persons who have done that, gone down there for picnics and all different kinds of things. What's the support like for you guys with as it relates to this?
Uh, Ferdinand, I probably go running every morning. Every morning I'm out there running out, hiking,
Hmm.
enjoying myself, you know. And two individuals met me and said that they're not happy. And I'm saying two here, not bringing a number into play. But these are two individuals, most likely probably in their 20s, 30s, as the case may be. And they expressed their displeasure about the things that are happening in St. Joseph. And, it is so unfortunate that these individuals, like most of the public of Barbados now, they're frightened, frightened to come on video, frightened to talk, frightened to make a video, explaining all their displeasures about the things that are happening in this country. But I have a video there with a gentleman by the name of Leroy Holder. He is from the Fruitful Hill area. And
All these
this is
borders
where
in
we
there,
are
some of them
separating.
family.
Yes, this is Leroy here. Play the video.
Very decent, over and over, just for take vehicles to turn around. And we thought we just try to help the situation.
Mhm.
Government just ain't doing nothing. Then the vehicles come, they skill back with all these borders, we gotta come out and pack them in. And nothing happening for all
Uh,
this
uh,
time. Huh?
So,
Garbage truck problems when it comes to turn.
so you're doing your own
Yeah, all
help
these
here as
things
a
that help the
member of the
neighborhood.
community.
Yeah, to help the
Right.
neighborhood. The
So-
bushing needs for some attention. We need even the bushing. And nothing happened at all in the area.
Mm.
Ministers coming through, just looking, making promises, never see them back.
Promises of comfort
Cops are food.
to our food,
To our food.
So don't be fooled. So.
No, don't be fooled. We want some attention, great attention.
Right. So all these big borders here, you had
The packing.
the packing so that at least the garbage truck can come down,
Come turn.
and all the other vehicles that coming in here can use the road,
use the road.
safely.
Yeah. All they have.
All right.
Brother Ferdinand,
So thank
this
you.
is Leroy Holder.
No problem.
This is Leroy Holder from Fruitful Hill. That Fruitful Hill area goes down to Cane Garden and come on back up to, Upper and Lower Parks, as the case may be, or back up into the Melville Hill area, right? And he explained to me his frustration about what started in Fruitful Hill years ago, and now that area has been abandoned, totally abandoned. And he expressed his frustration. He was courageous enough to come on video to stand up and talk with me. But there are young people out there who are very frustrated and frightened to talk. They're even older ones, because somebody get a piece of land, somebody get a choice for school, somebody get a little lawnmower or a whacker or a little servantile job. And if people frightened to talk for loss of possible income, for loss of job. So these factors people are subjected to. It is only those mature individuals now who are willing, and some of them, not all, to come out and speak their mind. Because it
Well,
is not us attacking the leaders of this country, but we understand that the future of this country is in our hands at present, and we must keep it on track.
but you speak of St. Joseph
Yes, sir.
as though there are other issues, and of course, I mean, we know that every parish has issues. I mean, we are well aware of that. Water, roads. I mean, roads are the worst. I have had to replace, Victor, in the last week. I have had to replace two tires on the same side of my vehicle. Two tires because of
Well,
potholes.
don't come down to St. Joseph then, because you're gonna replace four, not just two. You have to replace four. Maybe you're gonna have to get a wrecker to take you back up, because some of the worst roads you can think about. I mean, you just played a video there, and you had that beautiful iconic rock opposite Bathsheba Park. but don't attempt
To
to
get
travel
there.
down there by car. Some of the worst roads that you can think about. There's another video there here. There's a still showing the bottom of Cleaver's Hill. Just pull that still up. Showing the bottom of Cleaver's Hill, you will see the sea in the background. No, that one
Not
there,
that
that
one.
well, hold it. Let me just talk about that one. You know, it won't be long. That is Bonds number 1, abandoned. That's just below the St. Joseph Parish Church, below the graveyard. Bonds number 1, that's abandoned. This is the crescent in St. Joseph, abandoned. Keep coming, keep coming. This is the ridge in St. Joseph. This project started from the ridge road in the bottom of Gags Hill, coming up to the top in Coconut Court. That also, the Gabians there to the left, they were packing Gabians in there to continue the finishing of that road. That also has been abandoned. Keep going. So
I
we
think
hear
that's
of we
those are the
hear of that.
three. Yeah.
Yeah, we hear there's another one there. There's another one. There's another one showing the bottom of Cleaver's Hill. We know of the project at the bottom of Cleaver's Hill, where it came out in the print media sometime back. Project on hold.
All right,
And
let
that
me see.
project,
Is it
yeah,
this
that,
one?
but let me see when it comes up. And that project on hold is at the top of the no. That's the video there going back to Fruitful Hill. It's a still. It's just a photo, and the photo shows the project at the bottom of Cleaver's Hill. All right. So if you can pull that one up, because
Okay, you keep going.
yeah,
You keep going. I'm going to try to find that one.
that particular location at the bottom of Cleaver's Hill, that is the top of Dennis Money. And that particular location, every single taxi driver that is coming to St. Joseph will come to Bathsheba, where he stops. He stops at the top of Dennis Money Hill. If they come there at lunchtime, they can take photos of Soup Bowl. They can take photos of the area there with the rock. They're going to take photos all along the cove. They'll take photos of all up in Hackerton's Cliff, as the case may be. So right on top of Dennis Money Hill, that is a very iconic point in Bathsheba. But you know what has happened? That particular location, just like all the other things that transpired in St. Joseph, in the area of George River, in the area again of Soup Bowl that we would have seen, where the parking space now for access parking for Soup Bowl activity has been compromised. But at the bottom of Cleaver's Hill, on top of that hill, is where every single visitor to Barbados coming to Bathsheba, that is where they will stop all taxis and they go on top of that hill and take their photos. Photos to Soup Bowl, photos in Bathsheba, photos on the rocks. That is the area that was highly iconic to us, all residents in Bathsheba. And, you know, I was talking to a friend of mine today, and he said to me, Victor, what happened in the area there of Dennis Money Hill? That can be compared to if the government of Barbados sell the hill at the top of Cherry Tree Hill, the top of Cherry Tree Hill, if that was sold for some person to build a house there, then the whole view from the top of Cherry Tree Hill, coming on down the landscape, all through the area of the East Coast, etc., all that will be confined to one person, the person owning that house at the top of Cherry Tree Hill. That is what happened at the bottom of Cleaver's Hill. And I'm happy that at least some people in St. Joseph stood up on this matter and let their voices be heard. because we hear now of this particular project on hold. Because what that project has done, it has taken away Cherry Tree Hill, inverted commerce, from the whole of Barbados, from all the visitors coming to Barbados, and place it in the hands of one set of people. And that is what has happened to us. That's it there. Beautiful. So you see that little thing that looked like a box on top of the hill? That is where all of us would go. Every single person in Bathsheba would go to the top of that hill, take photos of surfing to the left, surfing to the right, the rock, every single thing. That is our iconic point in Bathsheba.
So,
And
so
the government of Barbados saw that.
but
Saw that.
based on what I'm seeing there, Victor, are you saying that you can't get to it? Are those barricades up or something like that?
No, Mr. Ferdinand, it is alleged. It is alleged that Bajans that visited this country will no longer have access to that point. That has now been given to one family. That is Cherry Tree Hill removed from the people of Barbados. That iconic location gave us full access. All taxi drivers, all visitors, all Josephines, all Bajans, the entire world, when they come to Barbados, go right there. And the head of planning and development took this out of our hands and placed it into the hands of one family. And you know what the relegation is, Mr. Ferdinand? You know what the plans, the proposed plans, the alleged plans are? That we will be relegated to another location down the hill from there. So we're going down in the bottom to view what we are accustomed viewing from this location, from the top. And that was in the hands of all people from time immemorial. But here comes fine linen. Here comes the laundromat. And we are subjected to this in 2025. It is very unfortunate. And we cannot afford to sit down and continue to allow things of this nature to happen. I mean, I've only spoken about St. Joseph, but of course, you know about government headquarters. You know about the drill hall. You know about all those other areas out there that are precious to us, that are part of our heritage. But now, those navel strings have attracted a price tag. Under threat.
They're under threat.
That is what we are subjected to in 2025. Where is the vision for Barbados? Where is the vision for St. Joseph?
I listened to, I didn't hear all of it, but I listened to a report this morning on the news that the representative for St. James South, I believe it is, in addressing the repurposing of the property and land in Whole Town, the removal of the police station, the library, and the other facility there. They were talking about, you know, the advancement and improvement of the country infrastructure and so on. But he went on to make the comment that they have to look to move the essential services and emergency services out of harm's way to more toward the center of the country. Now, our prime minister is supposed to be the poster child, I think, is how we would refer to it, of climate change. And I have often wondered if these people are so rooted on the matter of climate change, why are they trying to dispose of the properties on the seaside where we understand, as a result of climate change, that sea heights are rising? I'm not going to call the name of a particular president of the United States who was adamant about this, and on demitting office bought up a massive property on the beach. And immediately what it said to me is this matter of climate change, excuse me, loyal opposition, is a hoax, because you can't be talking seriously about climate change and you are going to be selling off all the coastal properties coming down from the garrison, you know, the defense force, all the way down Bay Street. Those are low-lying areas. And as you know, Victor, we have always been under threat with the eruption of that volcano in Grenada. They've always
Chicken Jenny.
kick 'em Jenny. We have been on the threat. There have been warnings. There have been different matters that have been issued. You know, yellow this and yellow that, orange that, and different things of that nature. And and you know, they tell me that if Kickham Jenny erupts, we'll have a tsunami 30, 40 feet tall in Barbados within 5 to 10 minutes or 15 minutes, something like that. And it leads me to wonder, you know, if that's the case, I would have thought while you would want to have investment in the tourism industry, and we understand that, I would have thought that you would be looking at an investment that is in a safe environment where the investors do not lose their investment, and by extension, Barbados lose economic development, economic contribution. But what you're doing is you're putting the developers at risk on the coast to be blown away with these climate change matters. You know, I'm not going to get the climate change matter. There's one of my shows that can deal with that in detail. Trust me, I can deal with that in detail, because I understand that there's 0.00001% of the entire world's atmosphere that's carbon dioxide. But I'm not going to get into that. I can let the scientists deal with that foolishness. They're the ones that can deal with that. But, you know, it just doesn't make sense to me. You know, you're talking about an area down there in Bathsheba, if my mind serves me correctly, because I used to hang around down there too. And I can tell you, boys, some of them waves used to come. I get carried away by one of them already, you know.
But you know the intent. You know the intent was to build a stairs from the cup and saucer and send us down into music as a route that we would travel. You know, I mean, music, the worst part of any surf you can think about is in music.
Wow.
You know, you could have the calmest of days and you step into that area. I mean, your next skin to gone. And that is where we had draftsmen who came up with proposed plans to send the people of this country down some steep inclines into music. And then they change it from that and send us into the river. And who was over all these plans? Mia Amor Mortley. How could we sit down and entertain this kind of behavior? And I mean, what's unfortunate about it? It is progressive. Because here we started off at Joseph. Then we went to the bottom of Cleversville. Now we are at Soup Bowl. What's going on in this country? Will there be another 1937 experience in this Barbados? I hope not. But unfortunately, this is the direction that it appears we are going. Maybe the 1937 riots, maybe we can equate it to what transpired under the leadership of the representative for this parish. You know, that was a civil war, but now we have another war that's going on because people are frustrated with the kinds of things that we are being subjected to. So I'm just looking out for what's next. What's next in the area of Bathsheba?
Yeah. You know, I see somebody making a comment about the Earth's atmosphere having 0.04% carbon dioxide, but I can take them to the video quite easily. I was watching a committee hearing in the US Congress or Senate in which it was clearly expressed by scientists, 0.00001%. I can only state what the scientists state. So if Google says something different, that is Google's business. I'm not going to get into that. I'm going to listen to what the scientists say. That is what they expressed, and so I'm just going to leave it at that. But the one thing I will say, you know, that concerns, I believe, every Barbadian that you're speaking to tonight, Victor, is not just the case with regards to St. Joseph or to the Soup Bowl or to the issues that you have raised, but to the entire
Precise,
perspective of what
precisely.
is happening to
In this country.
not only what I could call high end or high net worth property that has been in the possession of Barbadians for years. Because there was I think there was a statement that former His Excellency the Right Honorable Errol Walton Barrow said that some words to the effect that one day Bajans are going to wake up and find that they don't
Mhm,
own
mhm, mhm,
Barbados. And
mhm,
and I must tell you that when I drive, this is no joke. When I drive from Holton to Six Men's in St. Lucie, I can hardly see the sea.
mhm.
Hardly see the sea.
Well, that has been totally taken away from us.
I
And
I, I
I would like to do an audit of the ownership of lands along that west coast over the course of last year. If I travel that west coast twice, I travel there a lot because there's practically no access for us. We are going in there as gardeners or waiters.
mhm.
You know, that's
And
what
that
we're
is
going in
supposed
there
to be
as.
and
We're
that
not
is
going in there
supposed
as
to be
CEOs.
that's supposed to be
Mm,
protected for the people of Barbados by the government of Barbados.
mhm,
And that is why I make the statement, that what we are having is a government that is representing the international elitists, but we did not, the international elitists did not elect them to office. The people of Barbados did. And the people of Barbados are going to hold them to account. Well, Victor,
mhm.
my time with you has
Well,
gone
yeah,
so
yeah, but
quickly, but
that's
I
fine,
would
man.
love to engage you further on the whole aspect of the matter of divestment of properties, because the other thing that is concerning to me is the divestment of agricultural lands
Mhm.
to the development and residential development. And nobody can tell me they're happening. Everywhere I turn in this country, I can name a couple of them right now. One is up by Coral Ridge, where there used to be fields of canes up by Coral Ridge. That is where one of them is. I can't. The other one is somewhere out in St. George, where I passed through the other day. I can't remember the exact location, and I was stunned to see
Mhm,
residential development. I said, but
mhm,
that's some of the most
mhm,
arable land that
mhm,
we have in the country, and
mhm,
especially having gone through the pandemic and talked about food security. We're talking about
mhm.
food security,
That's why
and
potatoes
yet we are
$8 a pound.
disposing of yes, we're
Yes, that's why
disposing of
potatoes are $8 a
valuable.
pound.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
you
yes.
know. Once upon a time,
This,
you could go and dig
you
a
know,
rod of potatoes, a rod of yams, get your eddies and your cassava and things as the case may be, you didn't subject that to that. And when you got to buy a piece of concrete.
I tell you. Well,
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna have to look into this further. As I have often said on this program, the program is an open platform. If there's any member of government that wishes to come on the program and explain to the people of Barbados and give an account to the people of Barbados and take their questions, this is the Loyal Opposition's platform. This is not the
Mm-hmm.
Marcy Week Show platform. This is the
Mm-hmm.
Loyal Opposition's platform.
Mm-hmm.
And you are welcome to come to explain. I have seen the Minister Duguid trying to explain the whole tongue matter in the newspapers. I don't think Barbadians are buying it. I really don't think Barbadians are buying it. Because again, whole tongue, in spite of all that has been propagated, Victor, whole tongue is an iconic landmark for the country.
Mm-hmm.
I am grateful to hear, I heard of Spitestown, the Spitestown jetty that is now receiving cruise liners for the very first time in the history of Barbados. I heard that was recent. I'm happy for that, but that's their job. You see, when people do things, when I was working for BS&T Motors, Victor, I was not credited for selling a 728 or 740 or 750 IL. I was credited with making BMW the most successful high-end brand in the country.
Mm-hmm.
But I was not credited with doing my job. I was credited with the overall uh, a thing that I achieved in getting the brand to be perceived within the context of the country as the top brand. Well, I don't know if it's still anymore because I'm not there. I'm not there with them. But I do know that Mercedes increased, and Audi increased, and Jaguar increased because of what we did. But if you're going to do your job, don't expect accolades for doing your job. That's what we employ you to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that has been my position. If there is some beyond the call of duty, so to speak, that you do something that is extraordinaire. Yes, I
Mhm,
can understand. But a jetty
mhm,
in St. Peter at Spiteston is not
mhm,
extraordinary. That's
mhm.
been in the works for years.
So what is happening in St. Joseph is now that now we have an extension of cattle wash. Cattle wash has now been extended from the East Coast Road as we know it, and
Mhm.
it has been extended now into Bashiro. And you can pick peas well. You can pick your meaning from that. You're on the ball,
And
right?
some development I hear pending for the East Coast, but another
But
subject,
don't talk
another
about
time,
that. Don't talk about that, because I can
another
get to the East
subject.
Coast Road that started to be parted for us, Dr. Ferdinand, and
Yes,
it
yes.
stopped right by Barclays Park. And where have we, as Josephines? Again, we have been abandoned.
Victor, thank you so much
Have
for being
mercy,
with
man.
us
Have
tonight,
mercy,
my friend. We
everybody. Yes, sir,
appreciate you
man.
coming in.
No
And I
problem at all.
always know that I've always been told that there are three sides to every story, folk. Everything. I've been told that there's one side, there's another side, and then there's the truth. That's
Well,
what I've
call
always been told.
call the representative, and I hope that he'll be able to give you the vision for St.
Well,
Joseph.
I hope the
Yes.
representative will take the invitation
Mhm.
that we have issued to all 29 of them.
Yes. But I want
We
to hear
have
him.
we have we
Yes.
have seen the 30th member of
Mhm.
parliament on the show.
Precisely.
The 30th member of parliament
Uh,
has been
and
on the show.
speaks with integrity.
And no one is
Mhm.
preventing the other 29
To come.
to come.
But I want to invite the
They're
representative for St.
invited
Joseph, to come and give us the vision. Please,
for
please
St. Joseph.
give us the vision for St. Joseph.
I hope he's hearing you, Victor. Thank you
I thank
so
you,
very
Dr.
much.
Ferdinand, sir.
God bless.
You're welcome, sir.
Have a great night, sir.
Same to you, sir.
Amen. Well, I tell you, folk, the night has started out hot, and we're going to keep it warm still because there's a lady waiting in the wings. I tell you, when she starts to speak, people get really scared. So I'm going to bring her in because I tell you, she's going to have some things to say tonight. I don't even know what she's going to say, but Rose Corbin, welcome to the Marcia Week show tonight. The show has started with the. I tried to start it cool. Normally I am on fire, but I thought this evening I would come in with a bit of diplomacy and try to be mannerly. But I must tell you, Victor just left us on fire. So I don't know if you were able to hear. I know you have a number of things you want to address tonight. Welcome, Rose, to the Marcia Week show, Monday, January the 20th. You're muted. You're muted. Come, you know how to unmute. You know how to unmute, man. Come. You've been at this business long enough that you know how to unmute these things. What, you can't find the microphone?
Yes,
You,
please. I'm
there
sorry
you go. You
to get
found the right.
started
You found the
without
right
the
button.
mute.
You found the right button. Oh my goodness.
And
Now
again,
you
we
sent me
say,
you sent me some things. So I'm going to give me a chance. Go ahead and give your greetings to the loyal opposition, and I'm just going to try to get your stuff into the system.
yes, please. And my apologies for not getting them to you earlier, but we were having some glitches here and there. But I know you understand. And may say good evening to you, sir. Pleasure to be on with you this evening again. I really enjoy being on with you. And good evening to the audience out there. I'm seeing that we have almost 650 viewers. That's quite good. Remember to like and share for us. And as I usually greet you, good evening, loyal sons and daughters all, firm craftsmen and women of our faith. Indeed, it is a pleasure to be with you on the eve of Arrow Barrow Day. If duty had not demanded and Sir Sir Ferdy not
You're giving me
require me
some
to be at
titles, I
his
tell you.
side, I would most likely be um, at the presentation tonight by the leader of the opposition, the Arab Barrow Memorial Lecture tonight. And I sure do hope that they will be recording it so that I can listen and learn.
Well, I want to thank you for sacrificing that because I sacrificed. I wanted to be there as well myself, and I sacrificed the Sunday morning service as well. But I trust that they will accept my humble apologies.
Yes,
Madam,
we were
proceed.
able.
I have found your presentation, and so when
Thank
you're
you.
ready, I can pull it up right there for you. Let me see
Yes.
how I do
And we
this.
were able to join the DLP family yesterday at Messiah's house for worship and for fellowship. And indeed, our faith was challenged and our commitment to ourselves and our country, Barbados. We were challenged to have a vision, have a purpose, to be of service, and to minister one to another. What a challenge it was. And Pastor Ferdy, tonight I want to do several things, and I am going to try to use my time wisely as I go through some current affairs and reflections. And I would have put here the cracked mirror. And that is kind of getting us to reflect on that famous mirror image speech and to look at its relevance today and what has happened to that mirror. So I'm going to start with current affairs. And could you pull up that slide? And I'm asking the question, have you heard, Reverend Ferdy, that there's a new public health disease and it's called violence?
I
And
heard it. I heard it for the first time. Someone sent me a video, which I could pull up because I
I have
always
it here.
believe you
I
have the
have
video.
an edited part of it is coming up.
Okay, okay, good.
And
Because
for
I always
those of
believed.
you who are not aware, there is a new public health disease and it's called violence. I have not
Violence.
named it. It comes from the mouth of this lady here, our Prime Minister, the Honorable Mia Motley, speaking on crime and violence. Could we play it, please?
Okay, I'm not getting that to
All
activate.
right,
So what I'm going
Pastor
to do now, hold
Ferdy,
a minute.
may
Hold
I
on, hold
ask you
on.
to pull up yours if you can?
Yeah, I'm going to pull mine up and just share
Pull
that.
yours.
And then I will come back to your presentation. All right. So here we
Yes,
go.
please. Pull it.
On a range of measures from those that look at criminal justice reform, legislative reform, those that look at violence as a public health disease.
I think we heard it at violence as a public health disease.
Yes.
That's
And
what you wanted us to hear?
yes, please.
Straight
And
from the
that
horse's
was,
mouth.
beg your pardon?
Straight from the horse's mouth.
Indeed, indeed.
Okay, fine. Okay, well, I'm coming
Indeed.
back now to your
And we're
presentation.
just using because you know there's some people out there. I am so baffled and sometimes amused by the utterances of some of our people on social media in defense of things that would be said or raised in response to contradictions or issues or concerns. So you've got to be very careful, Pastor Ferdy, by saying straight out of the horse's mouth, because somebody they will say that you call her a horse.
Well,
Okay.
let me clarify. Let me clarify it quickly. Straight out of the metaphorically speaking horse's mouth.
Thank you. Thank
Okay.
you. And our colleague Glenn would be very pleased at that correction.
Yes, I'm absolutely sure he would be.
Yes. And
Ah,
this, amongst other things, um, what the Prime Minister has just said, amongst other things spoken on the CARICOM meeting that she would have just attended, and the attempts that are being made at CARICOM level, mind you, are being garnered or mobilized at CARICOM level while we are facing it here on our 166 square miles. But the way that we would have heard it just before I came on, I wonder if we still have 166 square miles that we can call Barbados. That's for another discussion. But let's pull up here on violence, a new public health disease. Is there any way that you can enlarge the print for me a bit? Reverend Ferdy?
I'm trying to do
Yes,
that. You
please.
can tell me how it's going.
All right.
I believe I have
It's a
to
little
be
bit off the screen. I'm so sorry. Should have printed my slides. All right.
right now. It's off the screen. I'm just trying to see how I would get it back on. I think I have to reduce it. I don't think in this.
All
Okay,
right. I can read
that's the
it.
best I
I
can do
can
there.
read it. Public health diseases and audience and Reverend Ferdy. This has been a learning exercise for me also, because I wanted to know what is a public health disease and if violence could be categorized as one. And we're seeing here that public health diseases include infectious diseases and all these others here with
Yeah, I
all
can go
the,
through some of them for you. Pertussis, also known as the whooping cough, plague,
yes,
a disease of public health significance, pneumococcal disease, an invasive disease that is reportable to public health, rubella, a disease that can cause a congenital syndrome, salmonellosis, a disease of public health significance, shingillosis, I tell you, making me bite my tongue, a disease of public health significance, tuberculosis, an active case of tuberculosis is a disease of public health significance, typhoid fever, a disease of public health significant, hemorrhagic fevers, Ebola virus disease, a hemorrhagic fever that is a disease of public health significance, laser fever, a hemorrhage, yeah, that big word, fever, that is a disease of public health significance, and the Marburg disease, another big word, fever, that is a disease of public health significance. That's how I learned from an old
and
preacher to
another
deal.
slide, there are more. Then we have COVID,
Yes,
other diseases, COVID, SARS, MERS,
and
and
mayors.
then the list comes down here another. I did my research.
Yes,
Food
ma'am.
poisoning, cholera, conjunctivitis. We have a whole list here that from various health sources have
Sorry,
been.
Rose, but I'm not seeing crime here. I'm not
You're
seeing
seeing
crime.
violence.
I'm not seeing violence. No, I'm not seeing that. Would that mean that it's not a public health disease?
Well, from my research, it's not. It is not a new phenomenon. It is a public health issue, not a disease, but it is considered a leading global public health problem. It is not a disease. And why it is a public health problem? Because of the impact it has on society, the impact it has on resources, and we do know it. With the violence now, the blood bank is depleting. We have had shortages and scarcity in the blood bank, but now having to save lives from shooting and from violent acts, we are having a shortage in the blood bank and in the blood supply for other urgent surgical or life-saving procedures. Violence can cause physical and mental illness, developmental delays, and premature death. It can affect people throughout their lives. And violence is a public health issue that can be prevented like any other health issue. Are you with me, Reverend Ferdy?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'm listening.
And when I hear our Prime Minister, sometimes I wish that open mouth story jump out don't happen so often. Leave such matters to persons who are well informed. Where are the criminologists? Where are those in authority? So now you know that with this being bandied about and publicized, that there is going to be now a theorizing, there's now going to be a response. Oh, it is a public health disease. We have to treat it as a disease when the gun toting persons now are given even greater license to be out there shooting because it is a public health disease. It is not an issue that should be addressed. So immediately an action taken. But then this is the same government. I have here testing trials start. And they are doing some testing, as I can see in the Weekend Nation, and they said that it is soon to be implemented, and there like is a soft introduction to it. It's begun, but this is the same Prime Minister who's now attributing or labeling violence in society as what? A public health disease. And she said here, she warned at that time when the statistics were 38 homicides for the year, and police said a third of them were committed by people under 21 years. The authorities attributed those spate of shootings to about 15 people. And Morley warned at the time, I am not prosecuting anybody. I want money. You remember that?
I do. I do.
If you are involved in behavior that leads to these tints on the cars still being there, such that the police or anybody passing through cannot see you, and you believe that you can just drive around with impunity and shoot and do what you want to do, start paying some fines. So here we are now. We are to treat violence in society, and most of that violence is what kind of violence? Gun-related violence. That kind of violence. And you are seeing that you want money, so you are not prosecuting, remove the tents or be fined. So let's look back here at the next slide. So treating violence, and I could go back up. Treating violence. Now, when there's a public health disease, it is treated with a variety of drugs and vaccines. We do know about COVID-19, depending on the cause of the infection. How will they be treating this violence? They're seeing it as a public health disease, so the Prime Minister has articulated or expressed or explained or posited. How will they be treating this violence? What is the antidote, which is a medicine given or taken to counteract a particular poison? For me, gun violence is a poison. It's a societal poison. It is killing out too many persons. And we need to find solutions. I find it contradictory that only recently the acting commissioner of police in a press conference said that they're going to come down. I am putting it in my own words, hard and stiff and tough on perpetrators of this gun violence. But now you're having the Prime Minister seeing it as a societal disease. It is a societal problem and issue, but it cannot be theorized or centered in that manner. I am not a criminologist. I am a plain citizen of Barbados, that when something is, I've been taught by the late Gladstone Holder, my tutor at Earlston, to be a critical thinker. I was taught that at Manchester University, looking at studying socio and psycholinguistics, to analyze, to critique. And I am raising, how can the PM be telling us at that level that it is a public health disease? And then some uninformed person will defend himself or herself on that theorizing or that position. So how will we be addressing this public health disease called violence? And it has begun with a lot of long talk. And if the public is not aware, the Prime Minister has signed a new declaration, just like the Bridgetown Initiative, called the George Bridge Declaration. And it is looking at addressing violence collectively at the CARICOM level. While in Barbados, I don't want to say that life and death, the scripture says it, life and death reside in the power of the tongue. But while there's a lot of long talk and memoranda of understanding and declarations, it started first in Trinidad. Now it has moved on to Guyana. Now they intend to go to St. Kitts Nevis, and it will do the rounds. While in Trinidad, violence escalates. In Jamaica, but I heard the Jamaica Prime Minister coming down real ignorant, saying that he will not allow gangs to intimidate or to get their hands on government money for building and for contracts. But while this notion now, this new theorizing, this new posturing and positioning of violence, instead of dealing with the guns that are coming into the country, instead of dealing with drug-related matter, illegal drug-related matter, you are seeing that you are it is a public health disease, and you have to come to a CARICOM community understanding and joint ways of addressing it. Could we go back to the previous slide, please?
Well, I'm going to have to accelerate you actually, because I'm going to give you a couple of extra minutes because I do
Yes,
have my
please.
other presenter in, but I want to say this quickly before you move on. There's an agenda, Rose. There is a reason that the reference to crime as a public health issue, which will facilitate a number of matters, such as what we have seen initiated in Trinidad, such as a state of emergency. When a state of emergency is issued, it means that it will give the Prime Minister almost unfettered power to implement lockdowns, curfews, or anything of that nature. You can't get that done unless you can tie criminal activity in with a disease. You won't be able to justify it. And I am suggesting, I'm putting it out there, that the fundamental reason for this connection is to be able to once again take control of the Barbadian population, lock them in their homes after a particular time of the day, and in strict restrictions on their movements and activities. I am going to await to see if the prophetic word is going to bear fruit.
And before I move on quickly, because I am just
But
going to...
I do want you to look at these reflections quickly, because I think the people need to hear what was said.
Yes, but before Pastor Ferdy, I move on. Do you remember in the weekend, Saturday son, the mother from the Pine who was left and is left shaken from the shooting? And
Yes, I
she
do.
says she wants out of the Pine after the shooting. Do you remember the response from the representative, the deputy prime minister, who said that they cannot do more? They can't move her. They can't relocate her like that. The police will have to investigate and make recommendations, and that she, the representative for St. Michael Southeast, said that she was disturbed at the recent bouts of violence within a community which has settled down. How can you say ongoing? We have been hearing that there are gun-related issues in the Pine, but according to her, it has settled down, and she chastised the act as showing a blatant disregard for human life, but cannot. So I am asking, why not give this mother and her 6 children temporary reprieve or relief? move them out of that setting for a while, put them in one of the hotels, then get a staycation for them. Let the children put on the bathing suits and splash in the pool. Let the mother put on a bikini and some suntan and shades and relax and enjoy some peace in a new environment. Don't tell me what has happened to that $7,500 that you received as a gift at Christmas, and the Prime Minister scoffed at and said there will be no investigation, matter closed. I believe you still have some funds that you can help that family have temporary relief and reprieve from that environment. And we move on to that slide, which says how, and I'm doing a quick comparison. When the BLP went into election in 2018 and 2022, their slogans ranged from "Give me the vote" and "Watchman," "It is safer with me," "It's safer with the BLP," "We can ask if that is so," "Mia cares," "Stay the course." But in 2010, David Thompson, the late David Thompson, raised the concerns about crime and violence, and he was ridiculed. But let's look at the year. Let's look at the year 1986. 1986. On May, I've got my notes here. On May the 13th, 1986, when the Right Excellency, His Excellency, the Right Honorable Errol Walton Barrow, stood on a platform, and I believe I was present at that political platform 2 weeks before he took his party into elections. And he made that famous mirror image speech. He did not go on any personal slogan. He did not go on pointing at himself. He took the nation, his party, into election with a clarion call for us to look in the mirror as individuals, as people, as a nation, and see what image we have of himself. He talked about corrupt politicians who would put $100 in an envelope for a vote. But it hasn't gone up after how many years? What, 38 years? People still getting $100 in a right t-shirt and a right t-shirt. He said, if you do this, he was implying, if you do this, what mirror image do you have of yourself? He talked about governments that would make you pay high taxes while they live well off those taxes. He talked about MPs who never knew a day of hard work but could drive their tinted cars and get ostentatious salaries, while that family of 10 in St. John was only getting $50 a week from welfare. Have things changed in Barbados? My heart hurt when I got the report again of what's happening in St. Joseph. My heart hurt as I read that the Minister do great rationalizing why they are relocating the civic center, the police station, the library. Are you telling me that police can work on a beachside site in a beachside facility? Can't you tell me that people can't go into the library and hear the waves and borrow books and read in the library? Are you telling me that the magistrate court, the people who service the magistrate court, can't do it with beachside? Are you telling me that workers and people of Barbados don't deserve such niceties and luxuries? That's for another time. But I am challenging us to read Eric Barrows, the late Prime Minister. And you know what? He took the nation, the people, and I can say the nation, when we look at the outcome of that election. He took Barbados and the DLP into election, and he won a landslide 24/7. And what did this present administration do in 2018 and 2022? Walk up, jump up, wave, big bands, look up, give me the vote and watch me. The BLP cares all about themselves, but never engaging the people to be reflective, to think of ourselves as a nation and what can we do by our vote to make a better Barbados.
Yes,
And
yes.
there is where I am. I'm closing. I am asking the public out there, the listeners, that tomorrow when you have a chance, Google and read that mirror image speech. Right now, we might have to reconstruct a new mirror, a mirror that reflects what we want for Barbados, not one that rationalizes that violence is a public health disease. Thank
And
you.
therein, Rose, lies the problem. Reconstructing an image, because it would appear that our administration does not have an image to reconstruct, does not have a vision for the country. And I'm not talking here about just building homes. To me, a vision for the country cannot be devoid of building the people. If you cannot build the people, you can build all the concrete structures you want. You can build all of the hotels and fabulous homes and everything you want. But unless you're able to build the people of this country through improved wages, through improved opportunities of labor, through improved opportunities for education, entrepreneur
And
development, and
housing,
so on, and those kind of things, then
infrastructure.
all of the external elements you're bringing into the country are inevitably going to suffer. And that is the problem that we have. Rose, I want to thank you for a tremendous presentation that we have been able to look at this matter. I'm glad you raised it because it was something I was going to raise at the beginning of the program, and I didn't get an opportunity because I wanted to get Victor in. And so I'm glad that you raised it in your presentation, the matter of this crime being a public health, violence being a public health. Well, I say crime, because David Thompson spoke about crime and violence. And you're talking about that being a public health issue, but I'm telling you, this is setting the table or attempting to set the table for what the World Health Organization wants to establish as a global emergency. They're not talking anymore, Rose, about a global pandemic. Their language has changed, and they are now expressing a global emergency, which means it could be anything from the matters of crime back to the matters of pandemics. So thank you very much, alerting us to
Thank you for
this
the
and
opportunity.
informing us so very much. Thank you. You may remain if you wish, or you can drop out if you wish, but I see my next guest, Umar, is in the room. I have received, for those of you in the loyal opposition, you would have seen on the YouTube ad there that KEMAR is going to be with us. He did message me during the show tonight to let me know that he might be late. or he might not even be able to make it because he is attending that same event you spoke of, the Errol Barra lecture, this evening. So he may or may not be able to get in to join us tonight. All right. So we are hoping he can. But if he doesn't, we will understand on the basis of what he's doing tonight. So we want to welcome Mr. Umar Abdullah, our Trinidad CARICOM member of the CARICOM opposition, loyal opposition of the CARICOM. Umar, welcome again to the show tonight. I want to publicly again thank you for making yourself available to us on Monday evening. Oops, you're getting a very loud feedback there just now when you turn on your mic. But we really do appreciate you doing that. And we would also like to express our gratitude for you sharing those international foundations that show us that what is happening not only in Trinidad, not only in Barbados, but is what is happening in our region is as a result of a global agenda. And I really appreciate you being able to highlight these matters to us here in the Marcy Week Show. So welcome, Umar, to the show tonight. You have to unmute, and I'll mute when you unmute.
Are you hearing me now? Pleasant good night to everyone. Thank you for having me again. Listening to the program earlier, I could only help but wonder if perhaps the people have been duped into believing a lie, a deception, a great deception over a long period of time. We hear this term democracy, but how does this democracy work for us? Does it give us the freedom we need? Does it give us the ability to express our thoughts? Does it give us the ability to live as human beings, to be treated as human beings? I'm sure those questions arise every single day. And hence the reason why I'm asking that a total behavior of non-compliance be spread across the entire region. I'm inviting everyone to join the resistance, to resist every attempt to get us trapped, to get us fooled and deceived into believing that we are free and that they have the best interests, they have our best interests at heart. I was hearing Miss Rose earlier talking about these events that's happening in Barbados. And I'll tell you all something, and I want to go through one such initiative here tonight. And I want to bring it to you clear as I could. These people whom we refer to as the government, these individuals whom you would have rallied behind and supported, canvassed your community, rally people to believe in them and to believe in their manifesto. these people have been observing you. They have been severing you. They've had you under surveillance for quite some time. And they are taking note of the numbers in data form. That is why today they could come at you with the nonsense that we are seeing rolled out before our very eyes and get away with it. Because they have done a survey, many surveys, and we, unsuspecting of the evils behind these surveys, have volunteered ourselves as participants and have answered their questions with the hope that perhaps this is going to change my life. This is going to change my circumstances. It's going to better my life or create a better environment for myself and for my children, a better future. Little did we know that this information was being gathered so that when they want to commit their crimes, when they want to come at you with lies and deceptions, they will get away with it. While we are asleep, while we are wide awake and looking on, while we are hearing everything that they are doing, they're doing it to us. The only thing that can reverse that today is non-compliance. Say no to them when they come with their surveys. Do not participate. There has to be total transparency. Recently, published in Trinidad and Tobago was a report on a multiple indicator cluster survey, acronym MICS 6. MICS 6. This obviously, when it was brought to my attention via an email from one of the government agencies, it was placed in my email as an ad. Additional information, not specific to what I was emailed about or the information I was given. So this was an advertisement indicating to me, informing me that the report on this multiple indicator cluster survey MICS 6 is now available. Now this survey was conducted by the Central Statistical Office here in Trinidad and Tobago in collaboration with UNICEF, one of the usual suspects. Spanned from August to December in 2022. This was when the survey was done. Targeting nearly 9,000 households across urban and rural demographics, while the stated aim is to gather data on children and women's well-being and align national strategies with sustainable development goals. That's an international phrase that we hear all the time. Sustainable development goals. Critical analysis reveals potential risk to our nation's sovereignty, cultural fabric, and the privacy of our citizens. This is what it is threatening. Now, this Sustainable Development Goals, we see this statement being appeared in all those international arrangements and agreements, the WHO, and I heard you all speak about the WHO a little while ago, the WEF, and all these major unelected bodies, and they're pushing this agenda around. Now, 9,000 homes in Trinidad and Tobago represents about 0.60% of the population. We have a population in Trinidad and Tobago of just over 1.5 million people. And this 9,000 homes represent 0.60% of the population. Now, one may say that, and I'm trying to deal with this in a very honorable and fair manner. All right. So I'm giving them how would I put it? I'm helping them in terms of their defense, because people would say, but 9,000 homes, that's a little bit of people in Trinidad and Tobago. How could you do a survey with just 9,000 people? But the standard, as it regards to surveys, with a population of 1.5, just above 1.5, right? It is the standard is 0.025% of the population. If there's a survey to be done, that's the target. That's the minimal target. So 0.60 is way and above the 0.025%. So we give them that. We can't argue with them with that. We can't bring that as a defense or bring that as an argument. They say, well, okay, your survey is null and void because look at the little bit of people you went and you did your survey and so on. So we're okay. All right. But let me just go a little deeper with this survey. And I want you all to remember what it is I said in my preamble. Surveys. These people have studied us. We have been a study. We have been a study. And now we are paying the price for our participant, for we being a willing participant in those studies. They're like lab rats. It has never been about us. It was always about them. It was always about their power, their hold and power, their authority, their rule over people. It was never about the people. I want you all to understand what I'm saying. You don't have to believe me. Go and do your research. Question yourself. Look how we were. Look how we are now. And look where they're telling us we are going. Look where they are telling us we are going. Not we, where we want to go, you know. Where they are telling us we are going. So the survey covered a wide range of sensitive topics, including demographic data, reproductive health, child mortality, sanitation, nutrition, and even perceptions of personal safety. Crime as a public issue comes into focus here. Over 91.8% of targeted households participated, reflecting broad geographic and demographic representation across urban and rural areas, including vulnerable populations. While such inclusivity is commendable on the surface, as I said earlier, the choice of 0.60%, It opens the door to significant concerns, and let me list them. Number one, mass data collection. The extensive data collection, including household compositions, reproductive details, and health information, could expose private details of citizens to misuse or breaches. Now, remember I said the last time, I can't remember if it was this program or another program, but it is illegal for somebody to ask you for your medical information, your medical details, or your medical status. That's against the law. The only person could get that from you or demand that from you is a court, a judge, or order of the court. Number two, targeting vulnerable groups with inclusion of women aged 15 to 49 and children. The survey delves into sensitive topics such as family planning, IPPF, remember those culprits, and sexual behavior, potentially infringing on personal privacy and religious beliefs. Key flaws and negative impacts, privacy and data security. We spoke about privacy and data security in previous programs with the cybersecurity bill and all of that. Remember, I'm telling you all, they have us under surveillance. The survey collected detailed personal and household data using digital tools like computer-assisted personal interviewing called CAPI, which, while efficient, poses significant risk of data breaches. Citizens must ask the question, where and how is this data stored and who has access to it? All these persons who would have come with these gadgets to your home, these iPads and laptops or whatever, they have access to that data. They are the first ones to have access to that data. Who are these people you're trusting your information with? Sharing this data with international bodies risk compromising national sovereignty. My people, my Caribbean people, our sovereignty is at risk. And why you think it is so? Look, I'm saying it here. Sharing this data with international bodies risk compromising national sovereignty and control over citizens' information. Why do you think they could come with all these programs? And get us flustered into these programs and trapped into this and do that, and people going and walking to their slaughter willingly. They are walking to their slaughter willingly. Why do you think they could do all of that? Because you give them the information. You complied. You volunteered. You participated. You were a willing participant in your own demise and your own destruction. How shameful. Number two, potential for misuse of findings. The data, while presented as a tool for development, could be weaponized to enforce external policies that clash with local values and traditions, particularly in areas like family planning and education. And we've seen that happening already. LGBTQ and social impact. Inclusion of data on sexual behavior and HIV/AIDS may lead to initiatives that do not align with the cultural and religious ethos of the Trinidad and Tobago, provoking social discord. And we've seen that happening already. The removal of the Buggery Act, the inclusion of the LGBT, the raising of the LGBTQ flag in Guyana. Guyana, you should be ashamed of yourself. Medical intervention without consent. Findings like 55% vaccination completion rate for children could be used to justify forced or mandatory medical interventions, potentially overriding parental rights. So now they know that only 55% of the children are vaccinated. Something wrong there. No, we had to do something about that. They had to come with a law to make it compulsory. You see how this is dangerous? Erosion of sovereignty. Aligning policies with global SDGs through this survey. Risk Sustainable Development Goals, I mean. Risk Trinidad and Tobago's ability to independently design and implement development strategies that reflect our unique culture and needs. Everything is foreign. Everything is foreign. Nothing has been formulated here. Check our law books. Check our law books. Which one of the laws in our law books have been formulated here? And it has not been borrowed from another jurisdiction and forced on the people here. This in spite of our unique culture and our unique needs. Well, tell me if I'm talking foolishness here tonight. Let me know if I'm speaking foolishness here tonight. And I'm not preaching to the choir. Now, this is the interesting part. A critical look at the Caribbean context. Now, Trinidad and Tobago is not alone. No. How we could be alone? How we could be alone? MICS surveys have been conducted in several Caribbean nations, including Barbados, Jamaica, St. Lucia, and other Caribbean countries. St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Grenada. This regional trend raises question about overreaching goals of these surveys and whether they genuinely address local priorities or impose global agendas. How many Bajans knew that this survey was done in Barbados? How many of you? How many of you? Huh?
Let me ask Rose a question here, Rose. Very quickly, that survey, Rose, that was carried out, the Inter-American Development Bank, was it, that carried out that survey in our schools that the Ministry of Education said they knew nothing about? You need to unmute.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, is that what Umar is speaking about? That survey that was carried out by the Inter-American Development Bank? Is it the IADB? That's a different one, Umar. Yeah, I don't want to.
This is a different. I don't want to. This is a.
Sorry, I don't want my mic open while you're on. So let me mute mine and you unmute you.
Right. No, this is a different survey. This is not the same survey. I know the survey you're talking about. And we had issues with that survey. And we spoke about that survey and we protested and we did what we had to do with that survey. We wrote letters, you know, but this is a different survey. Right? This is the name for the name they have coined for this survey is the let me get it back here. Right, so it's the multiple indicator cluster. All right, understand the coining of these words. Multiple, right? So when you talk about multiple, you're talking about multiple different races, different demographics, different religions, different circumstances, different living conditions, different, you know, multiple indicator cluster, meaning you know, the living arrangements of these persons in these different localities and so on. Survey, and acronym MICS 6. Now, what I want to make absolutely clear here tonight is, even though we are not alone, and these other Caribbean islands was also included in this survey, a lot of the Caribbean islands, you don't know anything about it. I would not have known anything about it too if I didn't get that email from one of the government institutions, because I am a subscriber to a lot of the government agencies. So when they send their stuff out, I get it. All right, and that's how I was able to see it. Now, civil society and the religious organizations, and I keep talking about civil society, the activists, the NGOs, the CBOs, and all these community-based organizations. We have a critical role to play, or they have a critical role to play. And it's like up until now, they have not gotten the memo as yet. They have not gotten the directive as yet, or the mandate as to how they can participate in pushing back against these agendas. Because I don't know how could a pastor or an imam or a pundit mount their podium and speak on religious issues and not see the speck in their own eyes or see what's happening right outside their doors. I don't understand that. I don't understand how you can tell a man in your congregation to pray and ask for goodness or for peace or for whatever you tell him to pray for, and you are not aware of what is happening outside your door. You have to be aware. You must be aware. How can you not know? Pray for peace. Peace from what? You must know. What's the war taking place? Peace from what? Safety. You must know what's the danger. Evil influences. You must know what's the evil. Why are you not addressing the evil? Why are you not addressing the dangers? Why are you not addressing the war? I have some suggestions, though, how civil society and religious bodies must respond. Number one, raise public awareness. And this is a lesson. This is information. This is guidance. This is supportive of you in your work and helping you to understand what needs to be done. And you have the membership, you have the capacity, you have the structure, you have all the tools at your disposal to do what I'm saying here. Number one, raise public awareness. Civil society organizations must educate citizens about the risk associated with such extensive data collection and its potential misuse. And that's what we're doing, the First Wave Movement. Demand transparency. The government must disclose, and we're calling on all governments here tonight on this platform. The governments must disclose how this data is stored. They must tell us. Transparency. How is this data stored? How? So, give me one sec. How is this data stored? Who have access to this data? How it's going to be used and ensure that it does not infringe on the citizens' rights or sovereignty. We must be told that. Government must inform us of that. They work for us, remember. They work for us. So if they're doing something that's going to affect our rights, our safety, our privacy, they must tell us. They must indicate us in all fashion how they're doing this so that we can be comforted. Are they doing this? No, they're not doing it. Promote ethical my notes keep jumping away from me. Right. So right. Right. Promote ethical oversight, establish independent oversight bodies, including representatives from religious and community organizations, to monitor data handling and policy implementation. And I think that's fair enough. I think that's fair enough. Select an independent body to oversee this collection of data, etc., etc. We are not saying that a survey must not be done, because it is imperative that you have some sort of data numbers to understand your people, to understand what is taking place on the ground, to understand how you can better the lives of your citizens, right? But there has to be an independent body to oversee this and to ensure that, you know, all these measures are kept in check. Protect cultural and religious values. That's very important, because we seem to be losing that a lot today. Religious bodies must take an active stance against policies or initiatives derived from the survey that conflict with moral and ethical standards. And we see a lot of conflicting measures and initiatives happening outside our doors. It does not align with our values, our morals, our ethics, our standards. It doesn't. What are we to do? A lot of people say, you know, what we could do, what we could do. I'm telling you what to do. Advocate for stronger data protections. Push for robust data protection laws to safeguard personal information and prevent exploitation. Certainly what they're doing to us is exploiting us for their own benefit, for their own goals and objectives, not ours. We were never on that list of concerned parties. I'm telling you all here tonight. Rose, not you. Pastor Ferdinand, not you, not me. All the persons on the program tonight who's looking on, none of you. We are not on that list of concern. No, we are not on that list. They're not concerned with us. Some would say we're down at the bottom. We're not even down at the bottom. We're being used and abused. So the findings of this survey, the NICHOLS survey, while presented as a tool for progress, as they always tell you, must be critically examined to ensure they do not erode the cultural and social fabric of our countries, our Caribbean nations. As citizens, it is our duty to remain vigilant, and I've used that word many times. But apparently some people don't know the meaning of the word vigilant. It's like sitting up in the darkest of the darkest night without light, and you're paying attention to every squeak, every noise, every wind that blows, every shadow that passes without a blink. In layman terms, that's vigilance. And you're paying attention what it does, where it goes, and how it could affect you, how it could harm you. That is vigilance in layman terms. That's not the dictionary meaning. People, wake up. Wake up before it's too late. Question the motives behind such initiatives. All the time you must question authority. Question authority. Don't be afraid to question authority. Don't be afraid to question them. They work for you. You can fire them on the spot. The way companies, official fire people on the spot. Trinidad and Tobago, some time back, a reporter was fired via a WhatsApp message. Fired on the spot. Could we do that to the government? No, they tell you that you can't do that. Because they have implemented laws to govern you so that you cannot do that. You cannot cancel them out. You cannot cancel them at any point in time. Because why? The people that work for you are telling you what you could do and what you can do. How foolish. How foolish can we ever be?
But you see,
Right?
Umar, that's the problem. Well, you see, Umar, getting a lot of noise when I turn on my mic and yours are on together. So that's why I have to mute you. That's the problem that we're having, you see, Umar. Civil society, or should I say, governments don't see themselves as the employees. They see themselves as the employers. They see themselves as the board of directors, not the CEO or the managers or the workers. So the government feels that they have been elected and given the power by the people to do what they want to do or need to do. I was tempted to say what they should do in the interest of the people. That is the original intent when they offer themselves for election. However many years it is. Here in Barbados, it's 5 years. And that's one of the reasons that in the new republic constitution of Barbados, I want to advocate for fixed elections, the matters of fixed terms, the matters of recall, where citizens, civil society can pressure the president into calling an election if the civil society acquires a certain percentage of support or whatever you care to call it. Because as it stands at the moment, Umar, the only way to remove a government in the well, I think I'd be right in saying in the Caribbean, would be through a no confidence motion. As a matter of fact, that doesn't even remove the government. That just changes the prime minister, but it doesn't remove the government. You can have a vote of no confidence, and that person can be changed within Parliament, such as what you have recently had happen in Trinidad with your prime minister stepping down. And the parliamentary group would have selected. I think yours is very similar to here in Barbados. I believe it is. The parliamentary group would select an individual from among them who would carry the majority of support to be the prime minister. We did have such a case occur in 1994. I think it was here in Barbados. I believe I would be right there, Rose, with a no confidence motion that was made against, I think it was then Prime Minister Erskine Sandiford. And what happened was that some of his colleagues gathered together with the opposition and were able to move that no confidence motion. And as a result of that, he called an election. But that is really the only, apart. And of course, we wouldn't advocate for a violent coup of any kind unless it is such protests, national protests, Umar, that could shut the country down, that would force the government into that position. You can comment on that, and because I'll close my mic off so we don't get that.
Yeah, you're quite right. And I was about to tell you that I don't agree with you that we don't. It's not the only option that we have, which is the no confidence motion. The other option is mass rallying by the people. All right, and I'm not talking about violence here. I'm talking about mass numbers coming out in the streets and having their voice heard. All right, just a show of numbers is going to scare these people out of their wits. It's going to tell them, it's going to reverse everything that they're doing. It's so simple. It is that simple. As a matter of fact, it is that simple. Nobody has to be fearful of their jobs, losing their jobs. Nobody has to be fearful of being victimized or being ostracized or anything like that. Nobody, because we are the rulers. We are the legislators. We are the policy makers. That's who we are. Why are we not thinking like that? Why are we not thinking like that? And you spoke about a coup. When the people or the masses refuse to do this civil duty, I call it, to stand up for their rights and to show it by numbers, when they refuse to do that, they kindle, and I want you all to listen to me carefully, they kindle a fire that is slowly building and turning into a raging fire, like the one in California, that's going to burn everything down. If we do not want that to happen, we must, for our sake and for our children's sake, come out in peaceful numbers. Come out in peaceful numbers. Flow out into the streets. March down to your capital, to the parliament, and tell the government they're fired. They're fired. My vote is here now. This is the referendum. And we are prepared to take control of the management of our country. The army needs to understand the power that they have. The presidents need to understand the power that they have. They're the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. The commander-in-chief of the armed forces. We can get any government in this Caribbean nation of ours to step down peacefully and walk away without any violence. Without any violence. All they need to do, I think the last election in Trinidad and Tobago, we had something like 67% of our population voted. I think it was, probably I might be wrong or what, but whatever percentage that voted, if more than that percentage of people would have flow out into the streets, we want again, there's a referendum right there. Because more people are out in the streets telling you to go then who even voted for you? Make sense. Make sense. Make sense.
Sorry, I wanted to say something, so I just muted you for a minute. Rose, I just wanted to ask you to comment on some of these statements that Mr. Abdullah is making in terms of the protests. Carol has asked me in the chat, Umar, if we have to get permission from the police to march or demonstrate. Yes, Carol, we do. And it is generally not resisted, to be honest with you, as long as there's a peaceful protest. They will often provide, I think at a cost, they will often provide accompanying police presence to ensure that there are no challenges in terms of the protest march, such as what we have had with Marcia over the last several months. Okay, so yes, we would have to get permission to do that. Rose, I know you've been so quiet there, and I know you've been intensely listening. But Umar has made some telling points. I made a couple of statements, and Umar, you can help me probably if I haven't. You started by talking about raising public awareness. That's the first thing you mentioned. You went on to speak of demanding transparency as one of the aspects and establishing oversight bodies. Rose, aren't these some of the things that we have actually been speaking to within the context of our situation here in Barbados?
Yes, as Mark was speaking, I recall that sometime back I did a session on civil society and the role we can play as civil society. And similar to what you would have presented, Dr. Umar, and the consternation that I had and I still have is that civil society does not recognize the power that it has, or not say it, because it will suggest it's an inanimate object or animal thing that we have, let's say that we have in bringing about change without without being violent, without being uh, without bringing about a coup. We can, by our, just as we're doing here, raise awareness, educate, seek to correct, seek to provide correct information, prompt our listeners to become critical, analytical thinkers, putting away the political biases or spectacles that we can be at times and say that this isn't working and come up with suggestions. One thing I must say on this program, Dr. Ferdy and Dr. Omar, colleague from Trinidad, I've been learning so much from you that we always come up with, or we attempt to bring solutions. We attempt to bring, as KEMAR would say, alternate views. So if we point out, like for example, oh, by the way, Dr. Ferdy and Dr. Umar, they are bringing CURFEWS to Barbados in August. Yes, it was announced as I was doing my research on that same speech by the Prime Minister as chair of CARICOM, So we have to learn these things, by the way. So we're having regathering, and regathering is going to be in July. No, in August they're going to have CURFEWS, and regathering is designated for St. Andrew, the Arts. But did we hear anything about CURFEWS? Nothing. We have to tune in, Dr. Umar. Probably you're better in Trinidad. We have to tune into the big stages with the lights and the microphones and whatever to hear these announcements. So it is CURFEWS is happening. And so I offer another suggestion, that if they knew that CURFEWS was happening, they could have promoted regathering around CURFEWS. Barbadians don't only live in Canada, they don't only live in the UK, they don't only live in Europe, they don't only live in the US of A. They are scattered in the Caribbean, throughout the Caribbean. But then again, where's the vision? Again, as I was saying earlier, we have to reconstruct that mirror and say what is her vision. When we look in that mirror and we see ourselves, are we satisfied? And what can we do? You know, when you look in the mirror, gentlemen, you do, and you don't like what you see, or your shirt is not buttoned properly. Do you leave it like that? No, you fix it. So what image can, when we look in the mirror, how can we fix? But back to civil society. For years, I have spoken about the apathy, and I always go back to that, one of my favorite movies, Higher Learning, in which that Black actor Lawrence Fishburne, in the classroom scene, told the students, it is the apathy that corrodes the society from within. Things around us can't change or won't change unless we put aside that apathetic response, or that notion, or Amar will put himself before the proverbial firing line on behalf of us. And Dr. Ferdy would, and Marcia would, and Rose would, and Glenn would, and KEMAR would, and the guests would. But when it comes for action, we're not, we put it in the chat here, but we have ourselves to protect. And I was thinking, you know, that we don't know the power that we have. You come out and you march. You come out in solidarity with us a Saturday morning. And for whatever reason, you can pinpoint that because of your association and your action with us, being an activist for something that bothers you, for the change that you want, for something that affects you now, something that will affect you and yours in the tomorrows to come. And you can point out that you have been victimized. You're getting pressure in your workplace. You're not alone. Let us know. And we will rally around you.
You know,
But
I wanted to say, Rose, that I remember, you know, if we could get, and I know that we have people viewing the show tonight from Trinidad. Some have viewed it the other night from Jamaica, the Bahamas, some from the United States, some from Canada, some from the UK. So I will give them a pass on this occasion. But if we could get the 800 or 900 or 1,000 people who come on this show to join us in our protests. Do you recall the Prime Minister herself led a protest of private sector unions against the then government in which she promised a different Barbados?
Yeah.
I have not forgotten her statement off the back of that truck.
Yes.
All right, I was just looking, and if I can find it, I will play it. I was just looking to see if we had the video here, but it calls for us, Umar, and I made the statement. It's a challenge getting civil society to pay attention to the global agenda. It's a challenge to get people to believe that what is happening within the context of Barbados, Trinidad, CARICOM is as a result of the World Economic Forum, the World Health Organization, the United Nations, the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank. It's very difficult to get civil society to understand that. And it's equally difficult to get them to come out and protest. We have, Rose, you know, I remember seeing you come up by the city center car park down at the bottom of Broad Street with a pot. You remember that Saturday when you came
We
out with the
were
pot in hand?
celebrating to push back on the
Yes,
cybercrime
on the
bill.
cybercrime bill. And we, you know, one of your colleagues, Umar, said something here. No, I'm not sure if it's one of your colleagues, actually. It might not be. I was thinking it was, but Noel says, and I have it up on the screen there, changes start with less talk and more doing. You Barbadians can talk a good talk. I'm assuming Noel is not a Barbadian. So, but he's true. You know, we talk a lot. But I tell you this: Jamaicans don't talk a lot, and I've learned that Trinidadians can get real active when they're ready. But Barbadians are not as passive as people think they are. But it's very difficult at times to get them to come out because, in a real sense, the country has been very partisan over the years, one party or the other. It has been difficult over the years to get a objective Barbadian who is looking for truth and looking for what is in the best interest of Barbados. But I believe, Umar, that is changing. It may not be changing as rapidly as we would like to see it change, but it is changing. And my walk in the streets of Barbados, which I'm sure is equally your experience walking the streets of Trinidad and Tobago, we are hearing on the ground the position of people. And that is why I made this statement. If the Prime Minister or the government thinks they can call a what do we call it again, Rose? A snap election,
A snap election.
right? And win the government again for another 5 years, they have another thought coming. They have another thought coming. There is a lot of underlying underground dissatisfaction with the government in Barbados. We just can't get the people out, Umar, to protest. We just
But
can't
do
get them out
you
to
hope
protest.
that they will do so with their vote?
They will do that with their vote.
Do so
I
with
want
their
to,
vote.
but let me just add here that but say for the benefit of those who are looking on and so on. When Mia Motley said that she was going to give you all a different Barbados, she was not lying. She did give you a different Barbados. It's just that you all can't recognize it when you look at it. And the only reason why, in responding to your statement, the only reason why change is taking place, and it may not be happening in the quickness of time as we want, but the reason why it is taking place is because of what we are doing, right? What we're all doing, and we have to continue doing that, and we have to invite more people to join us in doing that. So that effort would continue, and of course we're going to continue to see the tides beginning to build and get higher and bigger and so on and so forth. Hopefully that's going to happen, you know, in the nearest in the future. And earlier on, one of the viewers commented or asked the question about the protest. Now, let me tell you all something that I've noticed. And that question is indicative of a fear factor that we have. And everybody seems to be asking the same question. If it is you have to get permission to march. Now, I want to make it absolutely clear here tonight. I don't know what are the laws surrounding protest and gathering in Barbados, you know, explicitly, but in Trinidad and Tobago, and I guess it's probably the same in Barbados, you have to seek permission from the Commissioner of Police if you're having a march. You do not have to seek permission to gather. So you cannot show up somewhere and you don't need police permission to do that in Trinidad. You inform the police that you are going to protest at this site. You're going to you know, to go there or gather there or whatever, as the case may be, a placard, etc. You can detail it in your letter and inform the police that you are going to do that. That's not permission. That's not asking permission. Out of courtesy, we do that. I do that regularly. I write the police and I inform them I'm going to gather in front of this ministry and I'm going to protest, etc. And I state clearly what my protest is all about. Also keep in mind, people, right, that the police, they themselves are human beings just like you. They have families just like you. They have children just like you. And they have concerns. Their concerns are the same as yours. It's just that they have been placed in a position where they can't do what you are doing. But they want you to do that. They would support you in those good initiatives. That's going to bring about good change in society, change in their lifestyles and their work areas, and etc., etc. The police will welcome that any day, right? No police wouldn't disagree with a part of the population protesting for higher wage for the police officers. No police wouldn't disagree with that. But they would come out. They have a duty to ensure that the peace is kept and there's no violence and there's no infringements on the law, right? And so on and so forth, right? So the reason why people ask that question is because of that fear factor that exists. Do not be fearful, people. Do not, that's your right. Your right to protest. If the government tells you, well, okay, you have a right to protest, but you have to do it in this way, all right, we could do it that way. We go write the commissioner. We go inform the commissioner. We go pay whatever fees that needs to be paid. We'll observe this, observe that. But what's important is the numbers. Always believe that the numbers is important, not the process, not the challenges in getting the permission granted and so on and so forth. We have mechanisms to deal with that if we're refused. Right now, I have the Commissioner of Police in Trinidad in court for refusing me to burn a replica of the police flag in front of the police headquarters. I don't make joke in Trinidad. I don't make joke. I wrote her and I asked her permission to burn a replica of the police flag in front of the police headquarters in protest of the police killings and the rogue elements in the police service. Yes, I did that. And right now, she's before the court for that, for refusing me to burn the flag. Right? It's coming. You're all going to hear about it. But the point about it is that don't be afraid, people. Don't be afraid. In Trinidad and Tobago, the First Wave Movement was the first organization, the first activist organization, the first civil organization, human rights organization that picketed, that started picketing in front of officials' homes, not their offices, their homes. They can't stop us from doing that. But the reason why people veer away from that is because why? Because again, they tell you, they told you, you can't do that. Nobody going to tell me what I could do and what I can't do. Right? I ain't going to break the law. I'm not going to break the law, but you can't tell me what I can do and what I can't do. You can't tell me that. Right? You can't scare me. When we went in front of one of the officials' home, we were not wearing the mask, even though the mask was mandated to be worn. Let me tell you, people, we have the experience. Come to us. Call us 365-625. We will teach you how to protest. We have the experience. The police officers was begging us, practically begging us to put on our mask. And we refused. They ticketed, they gave us a ticket for not wearing the mask. The ticket's still somewhere in a garbage bin somewhere. Some dump, we must be buried in the dump site already. We are paying no ticket and we are paying none. We're not paying none. Do not comply. Do not comply. Compliance is your detriment. It's to your detriment. Compliance is to your detriment. You think the police and MNO is foolishness? They can't argue because our intelligence is above theirs. We have more information than them. Where do we argue with we? They're begging we, practically begging we. Put on your mask now, put on your mask. I said, brother man, give me the ticket now. That way you want to give me the ticket. But we're not putting on the mask. We're not putting it on. Right? We was the first organization in Trinidad and Tobago under a public health emergency, got a government institution to enroll back their students that they kicked out of the school for not wearing the mask and for not taking the injection. That to take back all the students in the school. During in the public health emergency.
I want to make
Do not be scared. Do not be scared. Right? We picketed the Ministry of Education every single day, Monday to Sunday, for 265 days. It was an eyesore in the eyes of the Minister of Education. Relentlessly. What are you scared of? Look, I'm still here. I'm sitting on a program here tonight and I'm talking to you all. I lock up. I in jail. Of course, they arrested me about 4 times, 5 times. How much time they arrested me? Right? What do they arrest you for? What they're going to arrest you for? Do you know why they arrested me? Is because I was leading the charge, and if they felt if they remove me, everybody would go home. Which is what happened. Because it's a scare tactic. Remove the leader. Lock up the leader. Nobody won't get locked up again, so everybody going home. On one particular march, I instructed, if I'm arrested, I left somebody in charge. And they continue to march. That's the day they bought all the tear gas. That's the day they bought all the tear gas. Right? This is the devil, the evil that we're dealing with. Before the courts. I believe some of them are them before the courts for that. You understand? They go come under heavy fire. We had to sacrifice. How you think apartheid was removed from South Africa? How you think it was removed? And I'm coming back to my point. When people refuse to come out in numbers, a few is going to want to take up the mantle. But that few wouldn't have the numbers to scare them. So they would have to use other means to scare them. And that is where the violence and the weaponry and all these things will come in, and they talk about the coup and all these things. So a small group of people will do it. Because they don't have the numbers, they have to use other things to prop their cause. And that is where the violence comes. You would be the one responsible for that violent response. The ones that refuse to come out on the streets and you stay in your homes, you would be responsible for that violent response of that small group of people because they didn't get your support. So in order to push the door, push back against the door, and they don't have the numbers to push it, they had to involve equipment. They had to involve other things to help them to push it. All this common sense, you know. I'm begging all the people here tonight. I am pleading with all the people. I am telling you the power that you have in your hand. Come out on the streets. You don't want to ask a question about get permission. The people who organize in the march, let them take care of it. Like them business. Let them take care of it. They make the call, you come out. I only want to hear a call.
Well, we're looking to oops, sorry. We're looking to commence a march very shortly, within the next month to two, Mr. Abdullah, and I can tell you, you know, Rose, you would remember when we started the marches, it was just a handful of people, but I remember then how it stretched through Bridgetown as we started to gather momentum, and toward the end of last year, when we brought an end to the marches for other things, we were beginning to build. But you know, you made the point there, Abdul, in terms of the numbers. We actually, in terms of the cybercrime bill, we didn't have the numbers, but we were able, with a small group, to go to the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights and make them put some pressure on the government. And that was a God thing, in the sense that how that occurred was just remarkable. But you're correct, you know, because when you can't get the support, especially within the context of the current generation in which we live, you know, when people have had enough, and they don't come out in their en masse and support and help and protest, then you find that small number getting into acts of violence and those kind of things. And I will say to the people, you know, we need to stop talking. We need to stop talking. We've come up with solutions on this show. We've shared those solutions. We've had marches, and you need to support those marches, and you need to get others to support those marches. There's no reason they tell me, you know, in the context of marketing, that one person can affect the lives of 7 people. Now, if that's the case, and we had, let's just say for argument's sake, 150 people, that could easily rise to nearly 900 to 1,000 people if you could encourage others to come out and march with us. And so I really want to encourage us in this coming year, that when we come out for those marches, that you support what we're coming out to do. And we have one other thing as well, Umar, that we initiated here, and that was something called Roadside Parliament, in which we would address the issues in the public domain, like a election campaign platform, and we would make it available for people to be able to engage the speakers on the platform during that public presentation. So those are some of the things, folk, that we will have upcoming, and we want you to know that, so that you will be prepared to come out and join us when we start those marches. As I said in one of the shows, I think it was last Monday, I was talking about the fact that it is alleged that the former minister of finance in the opposition party, the LP, is the manager of the BLP campaign for this coming year, and it is alleged, expected, suspected that they will look to call elections this year. That's what I've heard. I've heard that from fairly reliable sources, but we need to protest. We need to come out and protest, especially when we hear things like what Rose shared tonight in that video concerning the matter of crime being a public health issue. And that sets an agenda, Umar, that sets up an agenda. Go ahead, Rose. You were saying, but I'm not hearing you. Yes.
Not issue, a disease,
Yes.
which is
Yes. Health
erroneous.
disease. Yes.
It's
Yes.
erroneous.
And as a result of that, you could establish a state of emergency, which will give her absolute powers. And I believe that is where the agenda is going. Well, guys, look, it's 4 minutes after 9. We've had a highly educational night from both of you. Again, Umar, just sharing so much information there. I wouldn't mind if you could send me some of that information to do with that survey that you guys are under there in Trinidad that you've been going through. We were told of one that would begin here to do with the post office. In which they would be trying to gather information from the households and so on. I said to somebody today, don't come to my home to gather any information because you're already delivering mail there. So there's nothing more you need to know. So if you could get some of that stuff to us, that would be great. And I'd love to take a look at that. I want to thank you both again. Unfortunately, KEMAR hasn't been able to make it. I suspect, Rose, that they must still be at the lecture, the Erebara lecture. But he was hoping to be with us tonight, and I was looking forward to him being here to engage some of the same matters, Rose, with that public health disease?
Public health
Public health
disease.
disease, yes. But again, Umar, thank you so much for sharing what you shared tonight. It's becoming more and more evident that, and I think I heard you mention this, nothing that is happening in our countries is homegrown. Nothing. Even our financial decisions in terms of economics are not homegrown. I'm told Barbados is it's not. It's not homegrown. It's IMF grown and adopted within the context of Barbados. I think last this is what Monday last week Wednesday, I shared a video to do with a aspect with the World Health Organization with a treaty that they had passed in which they would be taking the sovereignty of countries in the event of another global emergency. They're not calling them pandemics anymore. It's a global emergency. And the United States has not signed on to it, but I understand that most of the countries in the CARICOM have already signed on to it, which will give the WHO sovereign control over sovereign countries. And this is something that we must not allow to happen within the context of the Caribbean. The United States told them straight, it will not happen in the United States. We are a sovereign country, and we will run our own health affairs in the United States. But I want to thank you for bringing that again, that global agenda to bear, because I can hear it coming out in the context of Trinidad. And if it's, I think you mentioned that survey was carried out in several other Caribbean territories. And the question really is, that I would ask.
Said including Barbados.
Yes. But the question I would ask, Umar, that we could probably engage the next time we're together is who gets that data? Is that data locally compiled and retained locally, or is that data shared internationally?
Remember, it was done in collaboration with the CSO in Trinidad, UNICEF. UNICEF is an international body, governing body, unelected governing body as well. We've seen UNICEF involve themselves in policy making in our schools, education system, and so on. And they were very, very much involved in the the comprehensive sexuality education agenda and that drive. Okay, so it's all there in their material. It's all there. We have numerous evidence and documentation on how it is they would have been doing this over the years and secretly infiltrating our education system and our agenda here at home in our different countries. So once you see it's in collaboration with, all right, it's never a collaboration. It's a leadership role that they have. All right. They just use the CSO because the CSO is the body that is responsible for conducting surveys in Trinidad. So what collaboration was there? All right. They just instructed the CSO to conduct this survey, and by way of all the international governing treaties and bodies and so on, and the agendas and under the table deals and so on, right? Got the CSO to conduct that survey, right? I don't think that the CSO was sitting around a table with UNICEF discussing policy and discussing how this survey should be done. No, they were directed. You go into any hospital in Trinidad and Tobago, any one of the Caribbean countries, and you go to give blood or you go to do anything, they will cite for you WHO's policy. According to the WHO, this is what has to be done. Who gave them the authority? Nobody. Them just come and say, this is what you have to do. That's what
Yep,
happened. And we have to.
I actually saw that in our hospital today. The World Health Organization information up on almost every window relative to that. But listen, guys, we're after 10 o'clock, and I want to thank you both for being with us tonight. It's been such an educational night. I look forward to having you again next week, Monday. We're going to be going into some rather interesting stuff on Wednesday, again to do with the aspect of crime and also the economy and some other areas. We're going to touch on the water matter that I had hoped that KEMAR would have been in to engage a bit more of that tonight. But unfortunately, he hasn't been able to join us. And what we want to do is we want to wish all of you here in Barbados, all of you Barbadians, a happy Errol Barra Day tomorrow. Tomorrow is a bank holiday, and it's the Errol Barra Day, January the 21st. We celebrate our founding father of independence, the Right Honorable Errol Walter Barra, and we want to wish you a happy Errol Barra Day tomorrow. Thank you, Rose. Thank you, Umar. Thank you, Victor. Victor was on earlier tonight. We want to thank him for sharing with us as well tonight. And thank you, loyal opposition, CARICOM, and otherwise. It was good to have the CARICOM. You know, Omar, I'm getting a thrill to see so many different people turning up from the Caribbean on the chat. I've seen people from the Bahamas, from Jamaica, of course, your colleagues from Trinidad. And of course, Rose are Barbadians, but you know, our diaspora is also there out of New York and out of Philadelphia and out of the UK. It's great to have all of you on again tonight. Thank you for being here with us. We appreciate you, and we want you to know that this show could not be as successful as it is without your presence. And you're absolutely correct, Umar. This show has been making quite a difference in the terms of Barbados, and I'm hoping that as we progress, we'll be able to inspire more people to take action and join us for the protests. And as you say, you guys have the experience, so don't be surprised if in the future you get a call or two. We might just ask you to ship some protesters over here for us because it's a CARICOM matter. It's not just Trinidad anymore or Barbados, you know, it's for the whole Caribbean. So don't be surprised if you get a call and we get a couple of thousand Chinese over for the weekend to do the protest marches with us. Rose, great to have had you share again tonight. Thank you for those reflections on what was said. And we certainly look forward to our beloved Prime Minister fulfilling what she said. All right. So great to have had you guys. God bless you all. God bless you guys
Bye.
in the diaspora. Good night, Umar. Thank you for being here
Good
again
night. Good
tonight.
night, Ma.
Madam Rose, thank you for your presence again this evening. In his absence, Victor. And of course, I believe my last week show will be this Wednesday. I believe I'm going to whisper it very quietly, but I think Marcia is going to be back in time for Friday. Umar, God bless, buddy. We'll be in touch.
Good
All right.
night.
Good
Thank
night. Good
you,
night, loyal
Umar. Thank
opposition.
you, Reverend Ferdy. Thank you,
Oh,
everybody.
God bless you. Bye bye.
Blessings. Blessings. Bye.